Councillors, just to put things in order so that we can have something to move. There you go. We've got Chair's recommendations there. Right. Warwick.
Thank you, Your Worship. Yes, firstly to note, the Waiheke Local Board has had a meeting after this agenda was distributed, so that was last Thursday night.
Very good.
So they're recommending pseudo-random order of names. So just very briefly, the background to the situation is that the Council's got the ability to recommend to decide the order of names on the voting document. At the previous 2013 elections, other metropolitan councils went random order. So we thought we should commission some research to look at so that we could make a decision on whether we should stay alphabetical or go random. That research has been done. From our view, there is no compelling reason to change from alphabetical to random.
No compelling reason. Okay, councillors, look, got a recommendation there.
I'll move it.
Oh, well, I've done that. Is there so you'd like to second it, George?
Yeah.
Right, Councillor Ross.
What do the health boards do, and why do they do it differently if they do it differently? My understanding is they do, or is that just STV they do?
Transferable vote, that one.
Your Worship, the district health boards, each of them, and the licensing trusts, each of them are able to make the same decision. At the 2013 elections, some went random, some didn't. They have the same sort of discussion we're having.
Yeah. Did they have any research that validated the idea to go to random?
Not that I'm aware of, no. So with the district health boards, the electoral officer, Dale Ofsowski, provides the report for them to base their decision on, sets out the pros and cons, and they make the decision accordingly. Our intention is to provide Mr. Ofsowski with the outcome of this meeting so that he can convey to the district health boards and the licensing trusts what this meeting decides, and hopefully we'll get some consistency.
Councillor John.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I note the comment here that the initial research, international research, didn't really correlate with what happens in Auckland largely, in that it was, booth voting, and I know that we did some analyses of the two elections from the council perspective. One thing, and I think you highlight it yourself, that does merit a bit more investigation, I think, is the impact of that candidate booklet, because any comments that I've received is that it's incredibly unfriendly in the sense of its bulk, of actually locating people and the inclusion of the health board stuff in there. So I understand what you said about those two elections, but I think definitely that has to be looked at. It's not helpful. People comment on the fact that they don't bother reading it, or alternatively they spend literally hours trying to wade their way through it. I think that is something that needs to be improved, and it merits an investigation in terms of how it might impact on voters. Either it's too hard, or it's so unfriendly that it's almost counterproductive to that quest to try and get more people to actually vote in local body elections. Yep.
Yes, we're very aware that it is pretty unfriendly and difficult to navigate your way through. And that is one of the reasons where we actually are recommending alphabetical, because at least the names on your voting paper and the names in the booklet are in the same order, and to try and find your way through it. We are working with Dale Ofsowski and with New Zealand Post to make the booklet more user-friendly. So there's a couple of things that we're looking at, such as color tabs, so you can try and find your way around it. We are limited in the size and the format of the booklet because of the weight, and because it's got an impact on postage, and therefore it's got an impact on price, but we're trying our best to try and make it as friendly as possible within the constraints that we're working on.
All right, Councillor Ross again.
Sorry, I don't know whether this is part of this, but it does seem you're mentioning the booklet of that. Are we ensuring this time that when candidates put in their 50 words, that the 50 words are left as they put them in and not played around with inappropriately or appropriately? Because I made a complaint last time that there were 5 words, 5 capitalisations put in which were inappropriate, and it was done by, I believe a part-time temp person who came in just to do it. And yet some people put in things that really are quite unreadable, and they should be left unreadable because it indicates not a hell of a lot of thought and proofreading on their part. So can you comment on that, what we're doing this year? Are we going to leave the 50 words that people put in as they put them in, or are we going to try and play with them?
So the reason why we had problems last time was actually a system issue, because we basically the candidate statements needed to be retyped and into the Vertex system, which produces the booklet. So I think there were some sort of typing mistakes and typos as part of it. And this time around, we'll be able to transfer directly into the system the text that is provided by candidates as it is.
Okay. Very good. Okay, any other questions or comments? I've got a recommendation there. I'll move that. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Those against, passed. Right, item 14, audit and risk, revised terms of reference. We got the recommendations there with the revised terms of reference, which, as you will note, are primarily directed to the next mayor and governing body. Councillor Bill, perhaps you can start.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This item was covered off by the Audit and Risk Committee. It's trying to move this council's self-auditing program and its work with Audit New Zealand into a more modern era, and the best practice these days is to have more professionals and accountants and audit professionals on the Audit and Risk Committee. There was a suggestion that perhaps we only have 1 or 2 elected members. We thought that have a 3-3 balance was more appropriate, but with the chair being appointed as one of the independent directors. So the Audit and Risk Committee approved that, and it stands as our recommendation to go forward to the next triennial.
Very good.
Council.
Are you moving
I'm happy
it?
to
I'll
move that.
second it.
I'll move it.
The move and seconder.
Whatever.
Thank you. Right, it was a race. Councillor Chris Darby, please.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor, and thanks, Councillor Cashmore, for this. I only have one concern, and that's about the quorum. It's mentioned on 102, and we're signing up to that too. I'd be concerned about a quorum where, for a meeting of audit and risk, only having 1 elected member. I would prefer to see that at 2, considering the balance of the committee our independence, and wanted to know maybe from Councillor Cashmore in the first instance how the recommendation came forward as just being 1. Is there scope for increasing that to 2, considering it is a committee of the council in the first instance?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, we did talk a bit about the what the quorum should be. This was also sort of following on what the practice is, but my personal view is the attendance at Audit and Risk Committee is very, very good, with many members who actually aren't even members of the committee showing up. So I would not see or envisage any problem at all of having 2 elected people to make up part of that quorum.
So you're happy for that sort of change?
I don't have any issue with that unless Mr. McNaughton has some advice.
If the balance is okay, if we can make that minor amendment, I think it would be healthy for governance.
Yep, I agree. Do we need to put that by way of resolution? I think we can just do that, can't we? It's on the
Just
edition.
do it.
Make a note of that. Please make sure that comes through. Anything else, councillors? Right, I'll move that. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against, passed. Thank you. Right, now we move to the item of extraordinary business. Councillors received a motion